I remember reading books in the playground, and all my other friends were reading like dragon fantasy books, and I was reading phonics, barely. I had asked my mom to buy book covers for me because I didn't want other people to know what I was reading. So there was a lot of shame and stigma in my school environment. I felt like learning to read and knowing how to read was a valued thing, and I couldn't do that. So I was miserable and unhappy, and I felt like I was an outcast, and I felt like teachers didn't understand me. Even though that environment was horrible and my parents tried to find another environment for me, I didn't want to leave it. I remember locking myself in my room and telling my mom, I'm not coming out until you have good news. And good news was, I'm not leaving. Why would I want to stay at a place that was stigmatizing me and making me feel horrible? And I come to the realization now as an adult is that it was all I knew. Even though something different might have been better, it was different. As a person with dyslexia, I transitioned schools a lot. I first went to a French immersion school, was kicked out of that school, and had to go to a special ed school for 3 years and learn how to read, basically, in that environment. As a person with a learning disability, I feel like you're constantly navigating and trying to find environments that work for you. So that first environment was really horrible. I didn't want to leave that environment, even though it was horrible. I went to a lovely environment that was nurturing and changed my life in many ways. And I didn't want to leave that environment. And then I went back to mainstream schooling. So there's this constant transition in my grade school years. And those transitions made me feel anxious at many times. So now in my adult life, as I come up against something new where I can't map out exactly what's going to happen next, I feel a lot of anxiety. Even though I've learned how to navigate transitions, I've learned how to make friends easily, going to a new country, going to a new workplace, going to a new school never really fazed me once I got older because I had already done that when I was a kid. But now new things that don't have that formula written out for me, that causes me a lot of anxiety because it reminds me of those days of, I don't know what these teachers are like. I don't know what this environment is going to be like. I don't know what's going to be valued. And the way I was successful as a person with a learning disability was navigating that really, really well and learning what I need to know when and what buttons to push when and how to create a map for myself. Okay, where am I gonna get my accommodations? Who do I need to talk to get my accommodations so that I can be successful? When do I decide to disclose? How do I decide to disclose? Should I wait a little bit? Should I prove myself, or should I be upfront about it? And all these thoughts go into your mind as a person with a learning disability of, what am I entering? How do I handle that? How do I handle my own personal stigma and issues with my own self? Even as a person who strongly identifies with their learning disability, that's a constant part of your life that you have to navigate, and it doesn't go away. Because I've had to go through so many transitions, and because I've had to navigate different environments, it's kind of allowed me to have a tool set that most people don't necessarily have. I will freak out before an event happens, but be over-prepared for when it actually happens. That deficit, in a way, has allowed me to have an asset in other environments. I remember being in college in advanced chemistry courses, and people were hitting walls. And it was the first time they had to hit a wall in their life. And for me, it was like the millionth wall. And I was just like, okay, what do I need to get over this wall? Let's just make it happen. For all the bad things that you go through as a person with a learning disability, and the struggles that you have to overcome, hopefully with every single one of those struggles, it has a positive outcome. Seeing no as an opportunity to overcome something and overcome a barrier and overcome a stigma that other people have is a great opportunity and an asset that I think I've learned from my dyslexia.